In this video, I'm gonna show you how to build a simple YouTube narration workflow using AI, even if you've never uploaded a video before. Over 70% of people who want to start YouTube never post more than one video, not because they don't have ideas, but because recording, editing, and publishing feels overwhelming fast. Most people don't fail because of content, they fail because they don't have a system. I'm Erin from AI Academy, let's get into it. Why AI narration workflows exist. Before we even touch the tool, it's important to understand why narration workflows like this exist in the first place. YouTube doesn't reward perfection, it rewards consistency. Channels grow because they show up again and again, not because every video is flawless. The problem is that traditional YouTube workflows make consistency exhausting. You have to write a script, set up your camera, record multiple takes, fix audio, edit footage, and then convince yourself to do the entire process all over again next week. For most people, that friction kills momentum long before results ever show up. AI narration flips that entire model. So instead of building your workflow around production, you build it around decisions. You decide what the topic is, who the video is for, and what the message needs to be. Once those decisions are made, the execution becomes repeatable instead of draining. You're no longer starting from zero every time you want to publish, and that's the mindset shift most beginners need. Growth doesn't come from working harder on those individual videos, it comes from removing friction so publishing feels doable on a regular basis. AI narration isn't about cutting corners, it's about protecting your energy so you can stay consistent long enough for YouTube to actually work. And before we jump into the walkthrough, if you want to follow along and test this workflow yourself, you can click the link below to try VidNarrate. It's the same tool I'm using in the setup, and it makes building narration-based videos surprisingly simple once you see it in action. Now let's walk through how this workflow actually comes together. Step 1, choosing a topic, voice, and music. So the first step is choosing your topic, narrator voice, and background music. And this step matters more than most people realize because this is where the foundation of your channel starts forming, even if you haven't published a video yet. Your topic determines who the video is actually for, it shapes the language, the examples, and the expectations of the viewer. So a clear topic helps YouTube understand where to place your content, but more importantly, it helps viewers immediately know whether the video is meant for them. When topics are vague or scattered, channels struggle to build momentum because the audience never quite knows what to expect next. Your narrator voice determines how the content feels to listen to. Even if the script is solid, a voice that doesn't match the tone of your channel can quietly push viewers away. Some voices feel calm and instructional, others feel more energetic or maybe motivational. And so the key here isn't choosing the best voice, it's choosing a voice that fits the type of content you want to make and then using it consistently so that way your videos feel recognizable over time. Background music plays a subtle but important role in pacing and emotional flow. It sets the rhythm of the video without demanding attention. So when used correctly, it keeps viewers engaged without distracting from the narration. And this is why softer, neutral music works really well for most educational or informational channels because it supports the message instead of competing with it. The most important thing to understand about this step is that you don't need to overthink it. You're not trying to create the perfect setup on the first day, you're creating a repeatable setup. So consistency matters more than optimization very early on. So when viewers click multiple videos and everything feels familiar, like the tone, the pacing, the sound, trust will build naturally. This step also replaces an entire layer of traditional YouTube production. There's no microphone to set up, no recording environment to manage, no audio cleanup to worry about. So by making these decisions upfront, you remove one of the biggest barriers that stops people from publishing regularly. So once this foundation is set, creating future videos becomes faster, lighter, and far less intimidating. From here, everything else builds on these choices, which is exactly what makes AI narration workflows so effective for beginners. Step 2, reviewing the generated video. Once the video is generated, you'll see a full preview with visuals, captions, and narration working together. So this is the moment where many beginners either move forward confidently or accidentally stall themselves. So at this stage, your role isn't to critique the video like an editor, it's to review it like an operator. You're checking for clarity, not perfection, and you want to know whether the message comes across cleanly, whether the narration sounds natural enough to hold attention, and whether someone unfamiliar with your channel would understand the point of the video without needing extra explanation. If the core idea makes sense and nothing feels confusing, that's your signal to move on. Small imperfections don't hurt early channels, inconsistent publishing does. This step is about making sure the video is usable, not flawless. What matters most here is forward motion. You're building a feedback loop with YouTube, not trying to impress an imaginary critic. Every published video teaches you more than another round of tweaking ever will. Why most people over-edit too early? One of the biggest reasons people quit YouTube early is because they confuse improvement with polishing. They spend hours adjusting details that don't meaningfully affect watch time, clarity, or discovery. Early on, YouTube isn't rewarding subtle refinements, it's rewarding volume, learning, and consistency. So you need data before you need polish. Over-editing delays that data and makes the process feel heavier than it needs to be. This workflow helps by putting natural limits around editing. It nudges you towards shipping instead of endlessly adjusting, so for beginners, that constraint is a feature, not a limitation. Step 3, downloading or scheduling your video. So after reviewing the video, you can either download it or schedule it directly. This is where a workflow turns into a system. Scheduling removes emotion from publishing, so you're no longer deciding every day whether you feel motivated or inspired enough to post. You make decisions once in batches and let the calendar do the work for you. That separation between creation and publishing is what allows consistency to scale. This is especially useful if you're running a faceless channel, testing multiple content ideas, or managing more than one niche at a time. You're not tying your output to your energy levels, you're tying it to a plan. When content is scheduled, momentum builds quietly in the background while you focus on the next idea instead of the next upload. Consistency is a system problem. Most people assume inconsistency means they lack discipline. In reality, it usually means that the process asks too much of them. If posting requires too many tools, decisions, or too much effort, it eventually breaks. Not because people are lazy, but because the system isn't sustainable. Simple systems win long-term because they lower the resistance. Narration workflows work well for beginners because they reduce decision fatigue, so fewer steps mean fewer chances to stop. When consistency becomes easier, confidence will flow naturally. VidNarrate also provides sample videos you can scroll through, and these are best used as reference points rather than templates to copy. So the real value in these samples is learning structure. You can see how long segments tend to be, how captions are placed, and how ideas are broken into digestible parts. This helps you understand what watchable looks like without needing to invent a format from scratch. The goal isn't to replicate someone else's content, it's to absorb those patterns so you can apply them to your own ideas. Originality doesn't come from reinventing visuals every time. It comes from your topic choices, your angles, and the problems you decide to solve. Once you understand the rhythm, creating your own videos becomes faster and far less intimidating, which is exactly what beginners need to stay in the game long enough to see results. Who this workflow is ideal for? This workflow is ideal for people who want to build on YouTube without putting themselves in a box too early. If you don't want to be on camera, this removes that pressure entirely. If you don't want to record your own voice, it gives you a way to publish without worrying about audio quality, confidence, or performance. And if you're someone who wants to test YouTube as a platform before committing a huge amount of time or money, this lowers the barrier to entry significantly. It's also a great fit for creators who care more about consistency than their aesthetics. Early growth on YouTube, again, doesn't come from cinematic visuals. It comes from showing up regularly, learning from real data, and then improving over time. This workflow supports that by keeping production light and repeatable. And the most important thing to remember is that production can always be upgraded later. You can add custom visuals, change voices, refine scripts, or even move on camera once you understand what works. But none of that matters if you never publish enough to learn. This workflow helps you get out of your own way, build momentum, and stay consistent long enough to actually see results, which is the hardest part for most people starting out. So that's how you build a simple YouTube narration workflow with VidNarrate, a very beginner-friendly system designed for consistency. When you focus on clear topics, a consistent voice and music, quick reviews for clarity, and scheduling instead of over-editing, publishing stops feeling so heavy. You're no longer relying on motivation, you're now relying on a system that works. If you want to try this workflow yourself, you can get started with VidNarrate using our link down below. I'm Erin from AI Academy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.